It's the Dadnarok After Show. Now, here's Chris and Shaun.
Welcome back once again to the Dadnarok After Show. This is Shaun.
And this is Chris. Wow. It's been so long, I forgot my name, guys.
You're Chris. I am Shaun. We're back. Maybe we're a little rusty. Yeah, it's been a few months since we did this.
So that's embarrassing, really.
Yeah, we took the summer off. What do you want from us? Hey, we got lives. You all do too. But we're not talking about our families or what we did over summer vacation. We're talking about Star Wars, baby. Ahsoka premiered yesterday, Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. I'm loving the Tuesday night thing.
Yeah.
Tuesday night, prime time. Kids are off in bed. It's 9 o'clock. Sit down and watch it. There's no, I hated when they released them at midnight because it was midnight Pacific time. It's 3 o'clock our time. I was like, I wanted to watch it, but there was no, way around it. But you know what? They fixed it. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
First thoughts on this.
Okay, so I watched Rebels, right? So I already have an affinity for a lot of these characters. I thought Mary Elizabeth Winstead portraying Hera, I thought she was really good. Oh, that's Hera. Her warmth just came across the screen. Oh, they got her character right. Sabine, I'm still kind of jury's out a little bit. I feel like they're really trying for Sabine. They're with that whole opening. There's a little bit too try hard about it, with the motorcycle and the rock music and she's so cool. Look at how cool she is. They're kind of forcing that a little bit, I feel like. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I do have some minor qualms about it, but none of it that really detracted enough for me to say, oh, this was a stinker or something. I did really enjoy watching both episodes.
Yeah, there we go. Real quick before we lose her, Amber's back. Welcome back, Amber.
Hey, welcome back, Amber.
You said you haven't watched it yet, and you're watching it now. So you know what? Go ahead, shut us down. Go watch it, and then come back and let us know what you thought.
Yeah, we're going to talk spoilers for sure, and we will be back every Wednesday night around this time to talk that week's episode of Ahsoka. It drops Tuesday nights. We'll be here the following night to discuss.
Let's welcome John on, as well here.
Oh, John Svedezi. Hi, John. You can catch John on the Basement Surge podcast. Be sure to just Google Basement Surge
and you'll find
him. Yeah.
So my first impressions, the whole thing with Sabine didn't bother me.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's been a gap in time between when Rebels was and where they are now. And there's something went wrong with the relationship between Sabine and Ahsoka. And I like that dynamic of there's hard feelings about something. I'm willing, and her growing her hair out could be kind of like a rebel type move for her to do rather than keeping it short. So that didn't bother me. I told you it was a little nitpick that I wanted to put out there.
The very opening, right?
The very opening crawl. If anybody has watched Clone Wars, they know that Ahsoka was accused of bombing the actual Jedi Temple. It was actually being set up by another Padawan that was disgruntled.
Right. Yeah.
But she turned in her braid, which meant she was still a Padawan.
Yeah.
When she was cleared of that, Anakin went to give her back her braid to reestablish her being a Padawan.
Yeah.
She never actually took it back and walked away. So the opening crawl said former Jedi Knight Ahsoka Tano.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like I said, I am being super, super picky. Super picky.
Yeah.
But that was the first thing that caught me. And the first thing I was thinking, come on. Come on, Florida, you know better.
So I forget. So Padawan is not a knight, right? It goes from Padawan to knight to master.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Padawan, she hasn't even been through the trials yet to go ahead and become a Jedi Knight.
I see. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that is a weird detail to get wrong for your opening credit for your show.
And people like me that have watched, both Rebels and loved Clone Wars. That's a detail that when we're reading the opening crawl, because it's standard Star Wars, we have to read that opening crawl in detail.
Yeah.
And when I seen that, I'm like, ooh, okay, maybe I'm just being too harsh on it, but
yeah.
And I have seen no one else talk about it either.
No, I haven't heard that either. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, let's not dwell on that, I guess. But, what are some other thoughts that you took away from it?
I I don't like the fact that you can no longer die by a stabbing of a lightsaber. The way
Yeah,
this is now twice. We had it happen in Obi-Wan,
Obi-Wan, yeah.
and now we've had it happen here in Ahsoka, where that's exactly how Qui-Gon Jinn was killed by Darth Maul.
Yeah.
So it's like there's no stakes, and I don't know. Maybe I'm going to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because show's in town. They could maybe get her to a back to area where they can help heal her up. But I feel like the lethalness of a lightsaber has been removed by the fact that if you're stabbed straight through, skewered,
Yeah.
a wound.
Yeah, and it leaves a little bit it is a little confusing because in the language of the movies and things, when you get poked through and skewered, like you said, with a lightsaber, that's it. I mean, Darth Maul did that to Qui-Gon. He didn't have to like decapitate him or like, you know what I mean? Like he did that and he knew that was enough to like turn his attentions to Obi-Wan. Yeah. And like he was down, you know, which I don't know. You can kind of talk your way around it, but you're right. Like they already did this with Obi-Wan. With I forget with the one Inquisitor character. Oh yeah, the lead Inquisitor. Yeah. That he came back. And not to mention, I mean, this is kind of a tangent now, but like Rey's force healing power for like, you know, Rey and Kylo were like healing each other all the way through Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, I get it. We're a Disney property now, but like, it's starting to feel like you're taking away the stakes a little bit when you get skewed by a lightsaber and nothing, like you could just walk away from it fine. That I do. Yeah, that is a nitpick for me. When Sabine, like I knew Sabine was coming back. I didn't think they were just going to off Sabine.
Well, I knew that wasn't a death blow. I knew that. Yeah. There's no way that was a death blow.
Yeah, but for her to be pretty much 100% by episode 2, it is like, why? What's the choice there? You know what I mean? Like why do that? There's something else that could have happened. Why do you write it that way that she actually gets that injury?
Yeah,
and
it could have been a shoulder. It could have been, you know, leg. It could have been anything else. But one last thing I'll put out there, and this is really the last negative thing I have on the show because I loved it as a whole. Like I was enthralled, catching all the little details, looking around, finding little things that I know only Rebel fans would know. We'll get into that. But the master apprentice relationship between Ahsoka and Sabine. Like I knew going into this, that was going to be something for me that I have to, they've got to explain a lot.
Yeah.
Because I didn't buy it going in. There was none of that truly shown to us within Rebels. And now after Rebels took place, and I guess those two teamed up to look for Ezra, there was some understanding that she may be force sensitive, but barely. I don't, there's a lot of questions, a lot of things that need to be answered. But that right there bothered me because I knew it was going into it.
I feel that too. Yeah, I get it. I mean, like they basically, these two characters didn't really have a relationship in Rebels. I mean, they were part of the same overall crew, but Ahsoka most of the time was doing stuff with. She
barely wasn't even the crew. She was Fulcrum. She was a contact.
Right. She was just like a guest star towards the latter half of that series, and she would come in and out. And when she was in, she wasn't really dealing with Sabine much. It was mostly with the entire crew or just exclusively Kanan and Ezra.
Yeah.
So yeah, for them to now, to be fair, they did lead to this at the end of Rebels. That's, you know, the last shot that we see of them. It's post Return of the Jedi at some point. We don't realize that how far past Return of the Jedi it is because apparently they just redid that whole scene for live action in this one. But they, my assumption was it was like right after Return of the Jedi when the Emperor fell, but it's like now, which is like 5 years post Return of the Jedi. But yeah, they introduced that these characters have been together for maybe most of those 5 years or a good portion of that 5 years. And they themselves had a falling out, which I think narratively is interesting. It is a good, interesting way to start a story between two characters that are going to be spending time together in a series. You want to learn what happened. You want to learn. You watch them go through it and see some character arc and development. I think that's a good way to get through that stuff. But it is jarring to like come in after the fact and be like, "Oh wait, what happened?" Like, yeah, okay. Yeah. And you're right. Like she never really shown to be really force sensitive, other than Kanan kind of showing her how to use the Darksaber here and there and giving her some lessons. But they kind of speak to that here too with, is it Hu Yang, the droid?
Yeah.
Apparently, was this droid in the Clone Wars?
I believe, yeah, I think he was. I think he showed a lot of younglings kind of how to build their lightsabers. He was one of those ones that was never prominent, but he was when they were in there with the younglings, he was kind of there.
I really liked his character, by the way. He reminded me of like Alfred, or like just like a butler, like a kindly that's like kind of like gently pushing you along the correct path, you know.
Not quite a K2SO.
No, more polite than K2SO for sure. But yeah, I enjoyed that. It's funny how different they make the droids and their personalities, even the astromechs. We got some Chopper in this.
Oh,
I'm a
dude,
big fan of
Chopper made me smile. Chopper, in my opinion, and this is going to be very controversial, Chopper is greater than R2.
That is controversial.
That's my opinion. I know R2's been through the ringer.
Yeah.
But Chopper hasn't exactly had it easy either. So I would go with Chopper. And I think it's Chopper's attitude that I like. He has more of a personality than R2 does. But
he's a jerk.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, Chopper's a total ass.
You know what? Speaking of Chopper, just take a quick look at Chopper here.
No, I did not go through your stuff. Did you look under the backup battery?
Did you go through my stuff? No, I didn't go through it. Yes, you did.
I know. Different than any other astromech droid, you can kind of really infer what the heck Chopper is saying just by like the bop 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 of it all.
Oh, I love just how he spins around and he throws his hands on his hips.
Yeah, his little arms, just like so expressive. Yeah, if you don't love Chopper, I don't know what to tell you. I love his color scheme, his design, his attitude. Yeah, he's all good.
But let's just get into the good stuff, because I feel like there was more good in this.
I'm not ready for the good stuff. I'm not ready for the good stuff.
You're not ready for the good stuff? What do you got? What else you got here?
All right, so we're clearing it all out of the way, and this jury's still out on this. I'm after 2 episodes, I'm not quite sure ready to call it one way or another. We are dealing with Dave Filoni, who's still fairly new to directing live action stuff. All right, he's done I think 1 episode of Mandalorian, and I think if I'm correct, I don't know if he's doing all 8 episodes of Ahsoka, but I know he definitely did the premiere and probably episode 2, direction wise. There were times where I thought the dialogue where Ahsoka and Sabine were talking to each other in the ship, the editing, the kind of stiff dialogue, the delivery from the actors, and this is Rosario Dawson, who's like, she's been acting quite a while.
Yeah,
she knows how to act. Yeah. So it's like, I feel like maybe they could have. There are moments where I thought in my head as I'm watching it, like, oh, I wonder if they could have used a different take for that. Was that the best take they could do? And if you're thinking that as you're watching it, that's a problem. Yeah. So there are parts where I felt were really kind of dragging, where they could have just edited it tighter,
Really?
just keep it moving.
The pacing. I loved a lot of that.
That's why I say I'm of 2 minds here, because it's like, I think I understand why they're doing it this way. Like, for instance, Ahsoka, she gets to that temple, that ruin, and we watch her go through the entire process of figuring out how to solve that puzzle.
Me such freaking it was a video game, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider.
Oh,
they gave me such Tomb Raider vibes. I loved watching her solve that puzzle. I thought that was just had flashbacks for me for other reasons.
And I could see, and I think that's what the aim is. It's just like, okay, we're really going to spend time with these characters. We're not going to pull the Mandalorian thing where they're in and out and stuff's happening so fast that sometimes you can't even catch up. And what you think is going to be like a season-long arc for a character ends up being like 1 or 2 episodes. And I can appreciate them taking time, and I do like that. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm of 2 minds here. I don't know quite where I land on it yet. I just wanted to bring it up because there were moments where I was really kind of taken out of what I was watching because it just felt stiff or clunky or just dragging a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, I sat. Maybe I'm just so enthralled of that world, of the Rebels world, that I've heard the critique you mentioned about the clunky dialogue and kind of like, should they have done that again? You know, the editing thing.
Yeah.
It didn't take me out of it. Like, I didn't catch any of that when I watched it. When I watch it back, like I meant to watch it again before I had a chance to come on today, but just things didn't line up. I kind of look at it this way. And I've always, if you guys have been watching this for a while, I judge a show by the cell phone meter.
Yeah.
How many times did I pick up my cell phone during the show? I didn't pick it up once. There was not a single time that I picked it up. So what that tells me, it pulled me straight in. And when it pulled me in, it took me like when we first went to Lothal. The Lothcats made me smile immediately. Sabine having that Lothcat up in the communication tower, seeing the communication tower in live action, seeing Lothal, I was grinning from ear to ear, laughing the whole way, enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
When they were up in the actual communication tower, I don't know if you got anything else negative to say, but when they were up in the actual communication tower, and Sabine walks in, the Lothcat, she's feeding the Lothcat, and you get the first look at her helmet underneath the desk.
Yeah.
When she's laying down and they pan back, and in the back corner, you see all of the Stormtrooper helmets, which were all Ezra's disguises.
Yeah, yeah.
So little things like that we would get. Like Janessa was watching it with me. She had no idea. I'm laughing. I'm like, check this out. Oh, look at that. Look at what's going on here. I'm enjoying all of it.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So if I assume Janessa didn't watch Rebels and she was watching this for the first time. What did she come away with it?
She enjoyed it. Because I even asked her, what'd you think? She said, I enjoyed it. And what she did say as well, which I didn't think of, at the very end of it or when we were watching it, she said it's a Star Wars show led by 3 strong females.
Yeah.
You have Ezra. Whoops. Unless something's happened, then
what happened to Ezra in the other galaxy? I don't know.
I mean, you have Ahsoka, you have Sabine, and then you have Hera.
Yeah.
So, I didn't even think of that because when I think Rebels, I'm also thinking Kanan, Ezra, Zeb. I'm thinking the whole crew.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's an interesting take, and she enjoyed it. So I think she's gonna watch it again with me next week. But it wasn't something she intended on watching. I said 9:00. I had this TV.
Yeah.
So she pulled up her iPad. She was getting ready to start reading, and then she does what all wives do.
Yeah.
Looking over the iPad, kind of paying attention to what you're watching because it kind of gets their attention. So
I'm curious how the general public is going to watch it because, like you said, this show was made for you.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's member berries all the way. I'm just watching these things that I recognize from this animated show that I watched. I'm smiling ear to ear. And it's like, oh, look at this, look at that. I see the background. I notice the details. Oh my gosh, there's Sabine in live action. Like that's all the stuff as a Star Wars fan and somebody that's been invested in this property for years and years. Like, of course, like hook, line, and sinker. But like somebody that maybe just casually watched The Mandalorian here and there, doesn't really know the timeline when they check out something at Star Wars, is like, okay, when does this take place? Your average Joe viewer that's kind of in and out of the property. I'm curious if they're having the same experience because they don't have all those member berries to lean on. They're just.
No one's going to get them. I think this is very easy. Andor did badly outside of Star Wars fans because there was one thing missing: lightsabers.
Mm-hmm.
You have lightsabers in this, which the general non-Star Wars fans equate lightsabers with Star Wars. No lightsabers equals no Star Wars.
Yeah.
So seeing that we have Inquisitors, which is phenomenal. I got questions about that a little bit. But then you have Ahsoka with her 2 white blades, and you have Sabine with Ezra's blade that she is now customized.
Yeah.
So you have the lightsabers in there,
and the 2 non-Jedi, Balin and I forget the Apprentice's name.
Oh, Shin.
Okay, yeah. Who I liked, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those 2 were phenomenal.
Yeah, really good.
There was a scene in that when Shin was on Lothal, and I got straight Phantom Menace vibes.
Yeah.
She had a probe droid go out, found where they were. She was standing off on a hill. It came back, let her know where they were.
Oh, well, that was totally intention. I could hear the score, the same score that was playing when Maul had his hood on and was walking the desert and sent the probe droid out, the bum bum bum, like the percussion. They're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, see, that's even like subconsciously the member berries. You know what I mean? They know how to work us with these shows. Is it Kevin Keener or Kiner? Did the score, who also did the score for the Bad Batch and Clone Wars and Rebels, like as far pretty much the most prolific Star Wars composer beyond John Williams. Like this guy is so good. And I did notice, I felt when I was watching it from the opening crawl, that's not necessarily a crawl, but kind of, something similar. Then it goes to the space with the spaceship, the wipes, the editing going from scene transitions, the wipes and stuff. I was like, okay, this is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Sometimes Star Wars feels like it's kind of outside of Star Wars, or like a pocket of Star Wars that you're like, oh, this is an interesting take on Star Wars, like the Andor stuff. But it's like, as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, this is just like I could be watching this in the theater. Like, this
it felt very cinematic to me.
Yeah.
The score bit played a big part of it. I heard some people saying that they've seen some clunky CGI. So be it. None of it took me out of it.
Yeah, I don't care about unless it has to be really bad. It has to be like Book of Boba Fett moped race through the streets bad for me to complain about that stuff.
Got Amber here. She's like, if there's been anything cute at Grogu BB-8, I would have watched Andor. She's basically
like that. Yeah, that's so funny you say that, because it's like Andor and Grogu are just like the polar opposite ends of what Star Wars can bring to you, which is what makes it so special, really.
See,
it's almost like a genre in itself.
Andor within Ahsoka. I want some of that political drama within it. It doesn't have to be all of it like Andor was. Andor was a straight political thriller.
Yeah.
We don't need that completely in Ahsoka, but some of that I feel like is necessary to be in it. But I mean, we have descendants of the Night Witches from the
Dathomir.
That was cool. Oh, when she said that, I was like, what? Because my biggest thing in Star Wars is there's so much genocide. They get rid of like massive groups of people that are fantastic. And the Night Sisters on Dathomir, that is a phenomenal group. And if they can find a way to kind of bring them back around, like within the Ahsoka here, that would be cool. And we need to see Dathomir in live action.
Oh yeah, we do. Yeah, I think it deserves it. There is one character that's also descendant of the is it Night Sisters? Is it Night Sisters of Dathomir?
Night Sisters,
yeah. It's her. There's also one currently in this current era, or maybe pre-original trilogy in the Fallen Order games. Or what are they called? Jedi Fallen Order? Yeah, those games with Cal Kestis. But yeah, they're not utilized very often because I mean they're gone mostly as a people.
Yeah.
The only thing that I don't know if it's just the one character. Now I won't mention that. I guess she wasn't pale enough for me. I thought they were more like pale and had a certain look to them, and Morgan didn't.
Didn't quite carry over the exact look of what we know the Night Sisters to look like, because we know what Asajj Ventress looks like, for instance.
But then at the same time, that could be purposeful. You know what I mean? Like, cause she would probably be in hiding, because these two Dark Jedi, Balin and his apprentice, they didn't even know that she was a Night Sister until she revealed that.
Yeah.
So as she revealed it to both them and the audience at the same time, and it immediately made me more invested in her character, because when she was introduced in The Mandalorian as just somebody that Ahsoka was tracking down, and she had that Beskar staff and they got in that fight, I thought it was a one and done thing. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that character, there wasn't much to her at that point.
That
but
didn't
now,
even dawn on me that she was in an episode. That's a detail that completely escaped me.
Yeah, that same episode that they introduced Ahsoka in season 2 of The Mandalorian, on that planet where she comes through the forest, she was basically the head of that planet. And Ahsoka took her down and arrested her. And this is a continuation of that. It basically takes place not long after that episode, because she's in custody, and now, by the end of the first episode, she's no longer in custody.
Yeah.
But so the characters in this, and we haven't even been introduced to Thrawn yet, so it's like there's more to come with characters.
I don't want to see Thrawn to episode 5.
You want to see them hold it until later.
I want to see them hold Thrawn. I want to see them hold Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
Those two need to be some of the big payoffs. Did you already catch that they're leading us towards signs of them coming back already? Because there was a point where they looked at the sky, and there was the Purgle were going through the sky. You kind of seen an outline through them, so they're hinting
Oh.
at things.
No, I didn't realize. I didn't see Purgle at all this episode.
Yeah, they were looking up at the sky, and they never clearly showed them. But if you look at the clouds in the sky, there's like an outline, and there's a faint hint of their call.
Oh,
So just something else that I kind of caught. Dude, like I said, I was watching this thing intently. I was enjoying myself. But
well, Mandalorian did that too last season, where Grogu spotted some during hyperspace, and Mandalorian didn't see it. He was sleeping. He's taking a nap, but Grogu saw it. So they are definitely hinting. And I mean, they have these people cast, so it's not like we're not going to see them in Ahsoka.
It's just when are they going to show up? And I really think they need to wait and hold those cards because people are waiting for it. People like me that can't wait to see Thrawn. Like Ezra, I can give or take. Ezra's Ezra.
Yeah.
Thrawn for me is what Vader is to some other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I need to see him. I need to see what they're going to do with him. I'm hoping to God they don't job him out, but we'll get to that point when we get there. But
yeah,
what do you think Balin and Shin's endgame is?
I don't know, because at first I thought they were just going to be kind of mustache twirling bad guys. But the more that I saw from them, the more that I think maybe there's something else going on here. I don't know if they're going to do like a double agent kind of thing, but I almost think by the end of this, we're going to see that their mission is going to make a lot more sense than just like a mustache twirling bad guy. I almost like the Marvel treatment does to a lot of their villain, like the Thanos or the Killmonger. Yeah. Like they're going to have like understandable reasons why they're pursuing this the way that they are. I don't know.
I don't know if they're your traditional villain. I don't think they're a villain.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm getting towards. Like, I don't know if I get that fully from them.
Yeah, I want to know why he bled his lightsaber, his kyber crystal. Like, why did he make it red? What was the purpose behind that? Because now he's got his own apprentice. They're not dark side users because they don't refer to him as like Sith or anything. But there is a master and there is an apprentice. Always two there are.
Well, Dave Filoni specifically did say that these are orange lightsabers. They're not the typical Sith red. They were designed, and if you rewatch it, you'll be able to tell that these are orange-colored lightsabers. So I don't know if he bled them the traditional way that a Sith would to get that color, or if this is something else entirely. But the one thing that I regret from them is that they seem to be just another Order 66 survivor, which is just like, we've done that so much now. Like, we don't need to, tread that water again. Like, make it something cool. Make it where they were stuck in a pocket of time and space, and they're actually from, like, the old generation or something, the olden days of the Jedi. Something, like, vibrant or, like, something new. But for them to just be, and it's pretty much confirmed because Hu Yang basically said as much that they, were around pre-Empire days. So
yeah, they'll let us know exactly who he was because they went ahead and they were able to identify his lightsaber.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's pretty much what it is. I'm just kind of curious because he said their end game is complete power.
Right.
There's no complete. You bring back Thrawn. Thrawn's not going to share the power with you. So I'm kind of curious what his game is. Plus, I feel like his abilities are more like, he's able to see things. He's kind of more like a Qui-Gon in a way.
Yeah.
Where he can kind of see forward, even though the future is cloudy. He can kind of see that way.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I want to see exactly how much further they give us with Shin. Like, what kind of developments are we going to get with her? Is she just a sidekick, or are we going to get more in depth? Like, we know her and Sabine have another go at each other.
Yeah, they must.
So how much are they going to get into it? Like, how much are we going to learn about her character? Are we going to learn about her character, any type of background or anything from her?
Right.
Because it's got me thinking. Like, I like this. I like that character because they're connected to Morgan. Wow, what, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
So they're connected to her, but I think she's the main bad guy until Thrawn is brought back into the picture.
Right.
So they're like third step when it comes to like the bad guys. They're the expendable ones. They're gonna be the ones that get brushed away.
I almost got a vibe from them. It's like they are on a mission, like almost like an undercover mission, like keep your friends close but your enemies closer, like that kind of thing, where they're like I don't know, like a police officer that's in the mob or something, like a undercover agent. Like they know that these plans are in effect, and they've decided to like get in and have this cover story where they're mercenaries or whatever, just so they can get close to it. And maybe this thing is, maybe we'll find out like their whole mission was to actually kill Thrawn once he's like they bring him back just so they could like destroy him, and then Thrawn brings out something to negate their force powers, and they end up dead. I don't know.
I guess time will tell. I like the characters. I thought they were well. I liked how they slow played it. I like how we were kind of learning a little bit by each time. I love when they walked in to the prison and they kind of they just mowed the place down like it was nothing. I thought that was cool. So everything about those two, from that to when Shin went and found Sabine on Lothal, the whole Phantom Menace throwback, all that I enjoyed. And then we already played the chopper clip, but you mentioned how like Hera feels like Hera.
Yeah, they did great.
When she's talking to Ahsoka, she's used that soft, like she used it with Kanan a lot to bring Kanan back down when he was so overly frustrated with Ezra. So she was using that same tactic right there on her. And even when she was talking to Sabine, when Sabine knows like it's the first time I've seen her in forever, and I screw up.
Yeah,
but Hera's like, you did a good job.
Yeah.
It's like, well, she won't believe this. She's like, I'm not talking to her. You need to hear this.
She's constantly lifting up the people around her, which is like what made her so invaluable during the Rebels series. And I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead really did her homework on that character, because she gives just those looks with those big blue eyes where she could just look at a character and you can understand she's just like sending out waves of positivity for that character. She's doing a great job so far. I hope we get more. I hope she's not just like in these first couple episodes. I want to see, do you think we're going to see the whole Rebels crew back together?
I was going to ask you that because we already seen Zeb in The Mandalorian. So they've already got him planned. So there's no reason we can't. Or we shouldn't, because there's always been a connection between the two. I don't think you can have Sabine without having the rest of the crew in some manner.
Right.
And definitely when Ezra comes back, Ezra is going to connect the whole puzzle.
Yeah.
So if anything, Ahsoka will wind up being a part of the Ghost crew.
Right. Here's what I'm hoping for this series. I'm hoping this is the first step towards a longer story arc of Ahsoka versus Thrawn, or Rebels crew versus Thrawn, or New Republic versus Thrawn. Like, Thrawn is a big enough bad guy that's within this era that the First Order is not around yet, or they're still licking the wounds outside, time, a space somewhere. The Empire is pretty much all but defeated. There's some remnants are here and there. They need there's a power vacuum as far as like the bad guys here in this era of Star Wars.
Yeah,
this is the perfect amount of time, this 10 to 15 year time span, where this in itself could be a trilogy of movies, a huge long form story. Where how does the New Republic, the fledgling New Republic that's just trying to get its feet off the ground and do things right, how do they overcome this new obstacle of the return of Grand Admiral Thrawn? And I want them to take it that seriously. I don't want this to be just like Thrawn's done by the end of this series, and Ahsoka season 2 will be them, with some new stories and hanging out with Boba Fett. And like, I don't want that anymore. Like, we don't need all the interconnectivity that we've had so far with all the Star Wars shows, with
we're
that, the
getting it.
Mandalorian stuff.
We're going to get it. Because they already said this is leading to a bigger picture of a movie coming that's going to wrap up this whole series. So they've got to keep everything connected closely. So we're going to get a bunch of things.
I guess I'm fine with the interconnectivity. I guess I don't need like
Mando showing up.
Right. I don't need it to be a launching point. It seems like, Mandalorian seasons and Boba Fett, seems like half the time they're really just setting up other shows. Like when Ahsoka stopped by the Mandalorian and like, here's the guest star. I don't need the focus to be like, okay, what's coming down the pike? What's going to be the new cool show? I want them to focus on the story that they're in right now, and just like let the story breathe in a way that it deserves. Don't make it shorter than it needs to be. And maybe, hopefully, this is the first step towards something like that. But I don't know. We'll see.
I was gonna say, okay, so we've seen these first 2 episodes now. What is your expectation for episode 3? We know it's gonna be a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
What do you think we're gonna get out of that? Like, what are you hoping for?
More plot towards. So here's what I'm hoping for. I want to learn more about Balin and the impressive apprentice. Is it Shinhwa or
Yeah, it's Shin
something?
Yeah, I know it's Shin.
Yeah. So those two, Morgan, they're finding or on the path to find Thrawn or bring him back. And I want to see more exploration with those characters, dialogue between those, us learn more about them, Morgan included. And then I would also love to see, now that Ahsoka and I'm totally fine next day. I don't really need for episode 3. We got a decent amount of action these first 2 episodes. Give me a talkie talk episode. Really, let's explore some character, explore some plot, get to know these characters even more. In episode 3, that's what I would really love to see.
I'm kind of the same mindset. I want to see more backstory. I want to see some conversations between Ahsoka and Sabine. What happened? Clear the air. Let us know what's going on. Maybe even a brief, like a short flashback to something that went wrong, or an argument or something that took place. And it could be as easy as an argument between those two about, the importance of finding Ezra. I mean, it could be something down those lines, which would extremely set off Sabine, because we see she's got that hollow disc of Ezra. Yeah. So if all of a sudden Sabine feels like Ahsoka's not hunting out, Ezra anymore, and her priority is Thrawn, now she's gonna be upset.
Amber's laughing at my talkie talk episode. Like one where it's like more, some people would call those like boring or bottleneck episodes or whatever. Like, oh, not much happened, but it's like,
and they afford that though with only an 8 episode.
With season. That's the thing. I'd never know anymore. It seems like sometimes they could have an episode like that, and sometimes we feel like it's going too slow, and then like The Mandalorian, they just push the pedal to the metal and they're doing 100 miles an hour real quick, and you're like, whoa, slow down, hold on a second. As far as plot wise. So here's one thing I just thought of, and it's kind of outside the scope of this show, and it's kind of a fanboy thing. When we saw Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker together training Grogu for a couple of days, right, in The Mandalorian, I was so amazed by that, not only by the wizardry of like bringing like de-aging Mark Hamill and bringing us that era of Luke, but just like, oh my God, this character is talking to this character. I never would have thought that I'd be watching that. So it's like, but the only bad part about that whole thing is that we totally skipped over them meeting initially. Like, I want to see the first time that Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker are talking to each other. Like, their minds must be blown. I want to see them sharing a cup of calf, like hunching over a meal, just talking about letting Ahsoka teach Luke about who her father actually was, not this big evil man in the black getup.
Yeah.
Who is Anakin Skywalker? Let me tell you all about him. Like, that as a fanboy, and I know this era, and I think this show takes place before the stuff with Grogu and Luke and stuff, and Ahsoka's there. It's like somewhere in the middle. I would love to see that. I don't know if we're going to ever see that. I don't know, but I feel like we're almost cheated out of that a little bit because they skipped over that, that initial meeting.
That. I'll say one last thing. What did you think of the Inquisitor showing up?
I think that's just kind of it's a symptom of the era that we're in. They may be leaning a little too hard on Inquisitors being everywhere between Fallen Order, but see, this is even post.
This is after everything. Yes,
this is after original trilogy. We've only ever seen Inquisitors before the original trilogy. It was a post Order 66 thing.
Yeah. So
wow, you know what? I didn't even think about that. This is the first time we saw one post Return of the Jedi. It is weird. Yeah, it's weird.
The timing, because I know exactly what he was, and I was like, the placement of him, felt off. I'm like, is this truly?
Plus he didn't speak. This is a mystery. It's got to be like a mystery character. Like, it's going to be some kind of reveal, right? It's not Ezra, is it?
No.
Is it Ezra?
If it does, we're all going to revolt. But I have just one last thing I wanted to bring up. I enjoyed this episode highly. Like I said, on my scale of 0 to 5 phone times I picked up my phone, I didn't pick it up a single time. So this was top of the line for me. But I'm also, like you said before, I'm member berries. I'm looking at Lothcats. I'm looking at helmets in the background. I'm looking underneath tables. I'm smiling when I see Lothal. I mean, seeing Ahsoka, the mural in Lothal that they preserved, they picked up and put in the building.
Yeah,
that was cool. Just all of that. They played directly to me, and I was one that I was not sure if I was going to enjoy this or not because of the possible Sabine Ahsoka relationship.
Yeah,
like I said up front, that still kind of bothers me, but it didn't take me out of the show itself, and I can't wait to see next week's.
Oh, this is going to be appointment television for sure. I mean, 9:00 on Tuesday, I'm there. And that's been a while. Only certain shows have me doing that, but I will be there 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday night to catch the new episode for sure.
Okay, guys. Well, and that's what we think here. If you like what we're talking about here, man, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Like Shaun said, Wednesdays, 8:30, we'll be here. We'll be talking about the most recent up-to-date episode in all of its glory. And if you read the description, at some point Shaun's gonna have to wheel me in because Thrawn's gonna come into this conversation, and that's my dude. So
I'll just hit the end broadcast button at some point. I'll just let you go. Oh, it turns out we've been off the air for an hour.
Okay, guys. Well, until we see you next week, we'll be saying, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you. See ya.